Thursday maybe? No, today's Friday. Anyway, we're back on the Bronco. I started kind of chipping away at the seam sealer. Now, why somebody went and sandblasted this without getting rid of that seam sealer is beyond me. It's a little rusty underneath there. I wire reeled this so you can't tell as much, but that in here is kind of rusty. I mean, and then right in here I chipped all that away. So I don't know. I'm just gonna I'm almost out of welding gas, so I'm gonna have to go to the welding gas store today. I literally have that much left, so like I don't even know, 100 psi. So I figured I could probably start welding up some of the stuff that Phil came in and circled that we need to get rid of. As far as this goes, then I gotta fix whatever the heck they did here, and then I do need to come back and grind this. But I figure I'd burn up the rest of that gas, go to the welding store, and look for a couple things, like maybe a little stiffer wire wheel. I got that one there, which I'm hitting it with my fingers, so it's not too bad. Don't want to do it. This thing here is kind of rowdy, but I just put that on my buffer there to try to get rid of some of that seam sealer. So I'm going to try to strip all that off there in the mix of getting the inner fenders, filling in some of these holes, and then we'll do the floor pans. But for now, I'm going to do that. I'm kind of a little under the weather today. My nose is pretty plugged up, so I've had a cold for a few days now. So I'm going to do it a little easier today, I think, and then probably go home early. It's Friday. And maybe come back in the morning. But I will burn up my gas because I'm so close. I'm going to chip away at some of that seam sealer and see if we can at least get that stuff done today.
Let's go.
So we got a bunch of that seam sealer knocked out. Whatever they use, that green stuff is really good stuff, man. But whatever they use back in here, that like whiter stuff, kind of junk. We got the top of the wheel wells welded in, down, and then I got to figure out what we're gonna do here. He's running the fresh air vent. We might be shaving that. Not 100% sure on that. I do see one hole down here that I'm gonna have to get from the inside and weld up. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. There's two spots here I need to grind down with I'm just using the little roll lock with 36 on it, knocking it down. We'll come back over it and fill those areas since they got a little goofy spot. But we dug all the seam sealer out of there. Gotta get in here and kind of dig it. Now we'll go back over to this side, start chipping away at all the seam sealer through the door jambs. Get rid of that old junk and either rust it or turn off and get sandblasted, or maybe both. But for now, I think I'm out of welding gas. I'm gonna go get gas, and then we'll get back here and keep trucking away on this thing. My first impression is they do a heck of a job wrapping it so it doesn't come all beat up. It doesn't see no footprints from their FedEx, UPS, On Track, whoever delivers these. Nobody's been standing on it, so that's good. Just have a couple spot weld marks that I don't big fan of. So that's for your wing window. It's got a little bit of a crease there. My camera will pick that up or not. There you go. It's a little pucker there. It's got kind of something right there. It's got a few spot welds marks here, which will need to be filled with a filler, and then those two there sanded down. But other than that, it's horrible. I've definitely seen a lot worse aftermarket stuff. So hopefully our hinge holes don't need to be reamed. Or now these do not come with the window frame. That's in this box. So that'll be the next thing. No, on like a 66, it bolts in. These might be our spot weld holes. I'm not sure. I've never used an aftermarket door I've always used original shells and just put skins on it, which the skins actually fit really good, so I do like that. So it's interesting to see how these doors fit and if they're worth a darn. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I do have another set of hinges back here, so I'm going to go ahead and bolt those on.
I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid.
These slide through here, basically slide through here like so, and they bolt to these 3 holes right there. Unfortunately, luck would have it, or let's see if I can get it better. Kind of dark, but so you can see here that the hinges are not lining up. So the holes are close, right? That bottom hole looks a little bit off, but it's not sitting flush up against the inside of the door because it is bottoming out against the door skin here. So that means I'm gonna have to come in here and cut, I'm gonna say 3/16 to 1/4 inch probably. So it looks like we're probably about 1/4 inch off down there. We have to open this hinge hole up a little bit, and also on this one I've got it in there, bolted in. It sits, that feels like it's flush. It's clearing. I'm not gonna take a file and file that out just a little bit, but it's hitting here. So comes down, it's hitting this gap right there. Hopefully my camera will pick that up. Maybe I'll get a better light. All right, 2 things with this door that I'm finding that I don't like. First off, that this is bolted in loosely, but it is bolted in. Might run this down just to make sure, but I'm worried about the back side of the hinge touching the door skin itself, like right in this groove. And also when the hinge comes down, it's hitting our door skin, meaning that I'm gonna have to notch out a chunk of the door, which is not uncommon. I've had to do that when I've skinned these before. But this here, I'm probably gonna have to come back and file this gap open a little bit because I don't want to wrench. If I tighten this down, I'm afraid it's going to push the top of this hinge into there and create a big buckle here. The other thing is this here, I don't know if you can see down inside there, there's a brace right here. I think it's the reinforcement for this door hinge, but the problem is this goes in there. First off, don't look like all 3 holes line up exactly, but maybe. Problem is the bottom hinge hole is sitting too far in. You can see there's probably about 1/4 inch gap there. And what's holding that up as I push up is the door skin itself. So if I was to tighten this down, it would create a huge crease right here. So that being said, I'm gonna have to come back out here and make about a 3/16, 3/8 to 1/4 inch open this hole up, which I've actually had to kind of file on them on the aftermarket skins, but never quite that bad. And the other thing I just realized is this comes with a keyhole. Your aftermarket skins do not. At least the ones I've used haven't. So I'm gonna adjust this door a little bit, grind on that a little bit, and see if we can't get these hinges to fit the door, and then hopefully fit on the body. So let's see if we can't get something, some kind of progress made here.
I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive and there's nothing that makes me happy. Hold my beer for a minute. I'm about to quit my job, cash in for a ticket. I'm going on a trip and I don't plan to visit. I'm gonna stay there till I feel like I'm winning. And this is just the beginning. I need a big change, help me feel like living. I need a big swing, home runs I'm hitting, and I'll never look back, moving on till I get it all.
This door it's about like every other aftermarket Taiwan POS you find, but it's what we got. So after reaming the hinge holes out, I got these knocked out here. That way that we can adjust this hinge in or out if we need to, and have enough clearance to where it's not going to buckle our door jamb. I did have to come back in here and trim this edge. Basically, you can see where it was hitting there. It was keeping the door from closing all the way. So I did that one, and this one both just a little bit with a die grinder, and I'll come back in and square these off with a file. So far, what I was really concerned about is if we had a gigantic gap here. So we got a good, kind of a large, because the door needs to come down, but a good solid body line here. It's a little tight here, which I'm not super worried about right this second, but we've got a good gap back here, meaning that the door is somewhat squared to the rocker and this back corner. Now I can adjust this pretty easy by either dropping that body mount or adding a washer in this one. And that floor pan being rusty, it very well could have sagged just a hair. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to leave the door on here because this thing opens all the way up, which is kind of cool. And I'll end up putting a block or a jack underneath this rocker. I'll cut this floor plan out, and then I'll adjust the rocker with the jack just a hair, just to try to force the front of the truck up by like pivoting it on this front body mount. It'll basically push up. This one will hold that, and that one will hold the front, so it'll kind of kink the Bronco up. But we're only looking for just a hair, like I say. Hopefully they could have had a washer from the beginning. The brackets they built could be just a hair off. I don't know what the situation is. I'm just going to make the door gaps and everything fit the best I can here before we stick it on a rotisserie, or before I'm going to weld those and make the door jambs fit the best I can before I put the floor pan in, or as I weld it. So I think it's close. Anyway, that's kind of the plan on that. I'll probably tackle that tomorrow. So I still ain't feeling too hot today. But all in all, I think once I get the front of this, we also got to remember, if I roll the front of this forward, it's going to pick the back of that door up. So, but they do make shims for these, that it's a little flat plate that goes behind those, and I've had to use those quite a few times. So for these, I imagine these old Broncos, the door gaps weren't perfect, but we're going to try doing the best we can, because that's what we do. So the next thing is we open up this guy here. And since we have the top on, the windshield frame's too far forward, but with two hands I could probably pick this up and get the frame underneath here, and then we'll throw a couple bolts in it. That way we know it's somewhat squared up, and then we'll drop that piece into the door. We'll take a measurement off of this, and make sure that these two here need to be square as you can get them. This, you have a little bit of adjustment forward and back. So keep that in mind. We'll open that up, see if I can get that thing set in here today.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be? And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
So I'm actually kind of impressed by that piece of junk. Basically, it dropped in, and like on a 66, I believe that these actually bolted in, and a couple years later they changed it where this was welded in. So we probably only these bolted in, and they actually fit, like they got a good door gap there, and it fits this gap. This is sitting flush, and I put this back in there and threw a bolt in and tightened it down, so this was crunched down, and we got a decent line here. The problem is that this thing looks like it goes like this. So we're gonna have to figure out how to drive that up. Maybe like a block of wood in there, and then come back with our dead blow hammer and try to like smack this up. If you look back from here, you can see that it's definitely has a bow, so that sucks. Hopefully the other one doesn't, but who knows? The thing actually could have got opened up too far. I did tighten it up. What if I loosen this up, if that'll come in? I thought maybe like pulling this back because it moved a little bit, but it still got a super big bow in it, so you could actually see that this has a bow in it. So. Aftermarket. Oh yeah, you can see that thing like. That's flush. Yeah, you can definitely see. So, I think we're gonna have to try to drive that up. I don't think I'm gonna do it today. It's getting kind of late. So, I'm gonna call the video done here, at least for the day, and tackle this down the road. And so, I guess I'll see you guys next week.